My husband and I are going on a trip soon, and of course in this video with the magic of editing you'll be able to see everything all at once. But our trip is coming up and we are celebrating our 25th wedding anniversary, and we're going to go out of town for about 5 days, and we're going to visit the Olympic National Park in Washington State. We live in Washington State, so we're going to kind of do a sticking close to home vacation, and we're going to travel around the Olympic Peninsula of the state and tuck into various edges of the national park as we go around it. I wanted to keep a traveler's notebook of our journey, and I want to show you what I've got planned. I'm going to decorate the cover of this album with, I've got some leftover white letter stickers, and then I also have these wood grain letter stickers, and I just pulled these things out of my stash. And I'm going to probably make a heart and then put a title on the cover of my notebook, so I'll come back and show you that. And I have decorated the cover of my journal, so I used those letter stickers and the numbers from the thickers and then some of those wood veneers, and I am ready to go. My plan for this notebook is that I'm going to keep my photos pretty small in size, since the traveler's notebook is pretty small, and so my photos will be a finished size of 2.5 inches wide by 1.5 inches tall. And I'm going to use my electronic die cutting machine and these sheets of paper to create a whole bunch of Polaroid style photo frames to add some decoration and emphasis to the photos. I chose a line of paper that I thought would work well for my theme, since we are going to be in a forest, woodsy, mountainy setting, and we will be out on the coast a little bit too as we drive around. I chose things with those themes, so I've got some trees. I've got this sheet of paper that looks like little mountain peaks. I don't know if the camera's picking that one up. I've got a sheet of paper that looks like water, so we might do some lake visits. I know we're going to hit some waterfalls, and if we make it out to the coast, we'll do that. So this water theme will work for all of those. This is all from, let me stop right here. This is all from the Bella Blvd, and this is the Let's Go on an Adventure collection. Of course, these papers are double-sided, but I will just use these sides. These last two papers here, I actually like both sides. Because we are going to what's actually a rainforest area in North America, I chose a cloud paper, and that will probably come in handy for those days when I'm sure we're going to get wet. And since the blues come in with the water theme, I think those blues will balance out the greens and browns okay. And then this side I like also. It has a bunch of little sayings. It says, loving the great outdoor adventure. So I guess it's just one saying over and over again. So I like both sides of that paper. And then this one is a very woodsy print. I like that side. And this side has some like canoe oars on it. I wanted to give you a quick peek at the rest of the kit that I'm putting together for this. I actually have this bag that I use for a daily planner a while back, and I saved the bag because I thought it had great storage potential. And I'm going to pack this bag, and this will be all of the supplies I take with me to do my traveler's notebook on the go. Now, I will print my photos when I get home, but I will set up the whole traveler's notebook with photo frames in them to just slip my photos in when I get home, and then my project will be done. So these are the supplies I chose. I'm going to use this punch to punch out this kind of craft paper to make word labels. And to go with my word labels, I actually have this is from Stampin' Up. I don't know if they make this anymore. This is a few years old for me. I will be able to spell any kind of titles that I want to spell with this, and that will be my word label. So I'm not going to take the punch with me, but I'm going to punch out a whole bunch of little labels and I will take the words with me so that I can make those labels as I go. In addition, I have, this is a One Canoe 2 rotary punch that has some phrases that I think would work, and also the dates because I want to keep track of those. And then this stamp set will come with me. This was is it Art Impressions Stamp Company, and I'm not going to take the palm trees nor the snowy one with me, but the other three will go. And then these are two little tiny stamps from a Stampin' Up set that's just a leaf, and then this is like a leaf with a pine cone. So I'm going to tuck these in. I unmounted these from wood, and they just have a cling back on them now that I will be able to use with my my acrylic block. And then this is a local Rubber King stamp that is just a general tree wood grain stamp, and that will come with me as well. Some other things that will come with me are, oops, not this one, my favorite journaling pen, which is the Signo Uniball black ink pens. I like these a lot. I use them all the time. A pair of scissors. I'm going to bring probably just 3 ink pads, and I'm not sure between the black and the brown if I'll bring both of these or if I'll leave the black at home. I'm guessing at this point I'll leave the black at home. So ink pads will come with me. A little bit of glue will come with me. Some washi tape for attaching little bits and pieces will come with me, also for adding decoration. I will have some glue dots with me because I will have a few chunky items that are coming. I just picked this up. This is a little travel wood veneer set from Kaiser Craft, and it's got some great travel themes. I won't use the airplanes for this one because we're not flying, we're driving, but everything else will be, well, there's bicycles hiding back there, so almost everything else in here will be useful. This is something I've had in my stash for a while. It's wood grain printed sequins. So I've got some star shapes and then some typical sequin shapes in 2 different sizes. And I thought the wood grain would go perfect with this project, so these are going to come with me. I'm going to unload these and put, as well as these items, I'm going to unload these and put them into Ziploc bags so I can store them in my storage pouch. And then I did buy a brand new pack of ephemera tags, and this goes with the Bella Blvd paper, so I thought all the colors would coordinate just fine. I did forget to mention a couple of things. Because I am bringing some stamps, I will need some stamp cleaning. So I have this Tim Holtz distress sprayer, which is good for cleaning, and these are just cut apart from a car chamois. It's much like the Lawn Fawn chamois product, and I just bought a cheap car one and cut it apart. And I'll be bringing these things for stamp cleaning, and of course my stamp block. And then I'm also going to bring a watercolor water brush, because the Art Impressions company shows a lot of watercoloring techniques that you can do with their stamps, and I have done that in the past and I do enjoy it, so I plan on doing a little bit of watercoloring techniques using these stamps, and so I'll need my water brush for that. Now I think that's the complete kit. Alright, so I spent a bunch of time. I cut out, way more of these tabs than I need. I cut out a whole bunch of my photo frames out of my paper. I've kept all the little insert pieces because I could use those potentially as tags or something like that. So I've got my embellishments all packed up into little baggies, and those are going to go into my case. I wanted to take a minute here to talk about this embellishment. So this is one of those wood veneers that came out, and it's a lady and a man holding hands. And I really connected with this embellishment because my daughters always ooh and ah and smile and giggle when my husband and I hold hands. So I promised them that on our trip I would take pictures of us, or probably just our hands, but I would take pictures of us holding hands in lots of cool scenic places. So these are going to come in really nice for that. My crafty kit is packed. In here I have all my baggies of embellishments and the roller stamps. I've got some itinerary notes here that I printed from the Google Maps. extra paper that was left over from cutting out the frames. I've got my stamps and my inks. I've got my water cleaning supplies. I've got my washi tape and glue. And then in this pouch, I've got my scissors, my pen, glue dots, and of course my journal. Here I am back from my trip, and I threw everything that I took with me into this bin so that I could sort through it as I finish up this album. This is just a stack of memorabilia I collected along the way, and I may add bits and pieces into my book, or I may just leave it in that pouch and just add it into a scrapbook. And then there's a little leftover bits for my embellishments that I set up. So anyway, I just wanted to show you how I've got that kind of stashed away at home as I'm gonna pull things out and work on them. So here is the book as it's set up. I've got that first page there is a map of the Olympic Peninsula, and that kind of sets the mood for the whole book. It kind of gives you a clear definition of what the book is about. And then I went through and I put those little labels that I made to mark each day and the date, and then added in my photo frames as I went along to save a spot for a photo that matched the journaling that I was doing. And then along with the journaling, I added those little cutout notes that I printed out from the Google Maps of the destinations that we were planning on going to. On the side of each photo frame, I was sure to mark down kind of what that photo was supposed to be about, both as a little caption to the photo and as a reminder to me when I got home that I needed to print specific photos. And here you can see I have some spaces left over in my journaling, and those might be some of those spaces that I used for the memorabilia or whatnot. And here you can see I use the photo frames in actually both directions so that it could help match the direction of whatever photo I was using for the day. And that gives a little more variety. And here you can see I've got photo frames stacked one on top of each other, and that's fine. That actually helps hold photos together that kind of tell a bigger story in that way, and it makes the book a little more interactive. And at the very end of this book, I've got a whole bunch of pages left over. My plan is to print out all the extra photos that I took that didn't quite fit into the journaling and just lay them out in these back pages day by day. And here is how I printed the photos that will go in those photo frames. I use Photoshop Elements to create a layout on a 4x6 sheet of photo paper, and am able to print my photos at this like 2.5 inches by 1.5 inch, and those fit perfectly in my photo frames. Then I just use a paper trimmer to trim the photos out of the sheets, making sure to leave a white border. You want to leave a good sized white border so that there's plenty of room to put glue underneath. With some of my photos, I didn't leave quite enough white, and I was struggling to get it glued down without it leaking over the edges. I've got all my photos cut out, and I've started gluing them down into my photo frames. As you can see here, I just left the washi tape on, flipped it up, and then I was able to, and you'll see this in a minute, add some glue and then kind of lay the frame back down on top of the photo to adhere it in place. Now these photo frames are still flapping, and I may glue them down or I may just leave them, and I might tuck in little surprises underneath if I decide to leave them. We'll see how that goes. In order to glue my photos down, I made sure I had my photo selected for each frame, and then I just used the Ranger multimedia matte glue, and that way if anything does leak around the edges, it won't be, you won't see the shininess of a glue, it'll just be matte and kind of disappear. I've replaced the tip that originally came on this glue bottle with this very fine tip, and I'll link to the description there. It has a cap, and it keeps it from drying out pretty well. It used to have a little loop that would keep the cap from getting lost, but that did break. There is a little side peg that you can put your cap on, so I try to keep it on there so that it doesn't go missing, even though the attachment loop has broken with use. And so this gives me a really fine way to get into tight nooks for getting this glue on to these photos. Just a tiny little dab in the corners and a couple along the edges, and that should be all that you really need. With the glue on there, I just line up the photo and just close the frame over the top of it and press the frame into place along those glue dots, giving them a bit of a rub so that it can help spread and seal the glue. Within just moments, the glue is activated and will hold everything in place. Now I'm just going to continue on and insert all of my photos into all of my frames. I just wanted to give you a little tip. This photo here had featured a waterfall behind our hands in the background, but it's really hard to see it even in person. And so I decided, in order to highlight that feature in the photo, which was kind of the point of this one, I just pulled out this little arrow and I'm going to glue it right on top of the photo. So if you ever have a photo that didn't come out as great as you wanted it to, don't worry, use it anyway, and just use a technique like this to bring out the feature that you wanted to show. And here is the finished book. I did leave that front page blank, and I might go back and do something, but for now I'm going to call it good and done, and I'm happy with how everything came out. And so here it is with all of my frames and all of my photos tucked into places. And I did decide to go ahead and leave them lifted up in case I wanted to make more notes or tuck any other things underneath them. I doubt I'll go back and do that, but just in case, I left them flapping around. And as you can see, I've put in my little decorations that I took with me as I went. Finally, in the very back of the album, I separated out some pages, again by, day 1, day 2 of the trip. And then any photos I didn't include along with the journaling itself that I appreciated the photos, but they didn't quite fit the flow. I just tucked them all back here, and they're kind of just solo photos. There's not a lot of reference to them, but they meant something to me, so I didn't want to leave them out. I hope you enjoyed this look at how I approach traveler's notebooks and how I did these little photo frames. I liked how they all came out and added some style to this project. If you enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe, and get notifications for my future videos.